Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and knights around the realm, it's your boy, HBP, back with another exclusive Heartbreak Hotel. But before we get started, guys, I want to start the show off by just taking a moment to send out my thoughts, my prayers, condolences to the families that have been tragically impacted by the two hurricanes that struck the southeast portion of our country over the past couple of weeks. It is my understanding that there are many family members out there that have not been able to make contact with loved ones, and some have even lost loved ones. And so I want to give my thoughts, my prayers to those families, and to the first responders that are out there every day trying to locate family members, rescuing people from the impacts of the flood. Just to everyone impacted. We also have one, Eric Knight, our humble host, lives in North Carolina. For those of you that don't know, we have been able to make contact with him and have communication with him. However, he's been without power for a period of time. And so I really just want to just send well wishes to those impacted by these tragic storms. And I just pray that some semblance of normalcy return to your life, to your lives, as soon as possible. But there's not a day that goes by where, of course, I'm not thinking about those that have been impacted by these terrible storms. So, with that said, I'm hoping, guys, that for the next 20 minutes, I can kind of take our minds off of some of the things that are going on currently within the country, and we just talk about a little bit of wrestling. It's been a phenomenal couple of weeks of wrestling, and I'm sorry, we really had plans to have the band back together to put on a show, a big show for you guys this week. But again, some unfortunate circumstances, as well as life and has kind of kept that from being able to happen. And so I'm here. We're in the Heartbreak Hotel, and so we're going to talk a little bit about wrestling, and we're going to start with Bad Blood. Just a couple of highlights from Bad Blood that, I feel like we had to discuss. We can't just, gloss over or pass over and just not discuss it, because there was just a classic, and I mean classic, match between CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell. And it was just an A1 certified banger, guys. It was a chef's kiss. They were in the zone in that match, and you could just see it. You can see it by the match that was delivered, that we all were able to kind of experience and take in. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre were in their bag, and I mean, we have seen over the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, Hell in a Cell matches, 15 years or so, Hell in a Cell matches, guys, that doesn't quite add up to all of the drama that goes into the Hell in a Cell. What you think it's going to be. They've kind of like under-delivered in a way, but this match here was just classic. I mean, from a little bit of color, for those of you out there that understand that wrestling term, to just, the story. I mean, the story that was being told in that match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And then what better way to finish off just a classic match like that than by having CM Punk finally just kind of be able to end the story by getting the victory over Drew McIntyre. It was just the finish, from Drew McIntyre taking out the beads that formed the bracelet, and they're just bouncing all over the ring. He had a bag of him. He opens the bag, he dumps out, because we're all, or at least I'm just gonna speak for myself. I was thinking it was like some type of tax. I'm like, okay, here goes the thumbtacks. We're getting ready to get those. Somebody's getting ready to get body slammed. But when he opens the bag and dumps it out, it's all of the beads that makes up CM Punk's bracelet, and he just dumps it right on CM Punk's head. But CM Punk was able to hit the go to sleep on Drew McIntyre after taking those same beads that was dumped all over his head, spread out all over the ring, picks him up, to kind of forces him into Drew McIntyre's mouth, picks him up, delivers the go to sleep with a chain wrapped around the knee that actually makes the impact with Drew McIntyre. Puts him out cold, guys. Just puts Drew McIntyre flat out cold and pins him for the 1, 2, 3. And the story of Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, for now, has come to an end. And then they kind of circle back around the following week on Raw, where they started to drop a little bit of breadcrumbs, guys, for a CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins match. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't know if this is going to be one of those long storytelling type of things that's going to take place over the next few months. That's going to go into WrestleMania, kind of coming to a head in WrestleMania, or if we're going to get a couple of matches out of this, maybe something at Survivor Series, maybe something at the Royal Rumble. It's yet to be seen, but we know right now, Seth freaking Rollins has some business to take care of with who else? Bronson Tsunami Reed. Let me say it again. Bronson Tsunami Reed. That's right. Seth Rollins interferes with a match between Braun Strowman and Bronson Tsunami Reed. Bronson is getting ready to get up off of the metal steps that are in the ring after the ring collapsed. He's getting ready to get up. Bronson's down. Braun Strowman's down. The ref is on his count to 10. And out of nowhere, Seth Rollins comes and delivers the finisher, the head stomp to Bronson Tsunami Reed right there on the metal steps, puts Bronson Reed out. Braun Strowman stands before time expires, or before the ref gets to 10, and he's declared the winner. And Seth Rollins reminds everybody that he's got some unfinished business for the six tsunamis that he received from Bronson Tsunami Reed that really helped Bronson to make a name for himself. And so, we had that coming up, but I'm sure once that beef is kind of cooked and done with, then we're going to transition back to the hatred, the animosity that's between Seth freaking Rollins and CM Punk. And it's what we've been waiting for. And this is every bit of a WrestleMania match here, guys. And I think they're getting ready to start delivering and kind of start to build up to that. Now, the second match in Bad Blood that we have to discuss, guys, of course, is the match with Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns versus Bloodline 2.0. All right. For whatever you want to call them, it's Bloodline 2.0, Solo Sikoa and the Numbskulls. They had this match. It was a great match, actually. Just a good story being told, and it leads up to two major returns. And this is where, we always talk about story, and we talk about, the impacts of stories. And I love this time of year. I said it in the last HeartBreak Hotel. This is the time of year where you can see how we're starting to build to something big. We're starting to build to something great, and it's coming. In this match here, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, they go over on Bloodline 2.0, but that's not the most important thing. We kind of figured that was going to be the case, right? What made this match great was the fact that we had the return of Jimmy Uso. And, we've all been kind of waiting to see, how he was going to make his return, the impact of his return. And what better way to make his return than to go against the Bloodline 2.0 that actually sidelined him for 6 months. he makes his return. He makes an impact. He makes a statement, and he helps deliver the win to Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And as the match is over, they're standing in the ring, celebration and everything. Who else, guys? Just the icing on the cake. I mean, it's none other than the final boss. The final boss makes his return, and he doesn't have to say a word. He comes out, the music hits, you know what time it is, you know what this means, you know the story continues. And, The Rock left us on a cliffhanger with Cody Rhodes and whatever he said to him and whispered it to him in the ring at the end WrestleMania earlier this year, or the Monday Night Raw following WrestleMania this year. We kind of got left on a cliffhanger, and so the final boss makes his return, and all he does is stands, looks at Roman Reigns, looks at Cody Rhodes. We don't necessarily know what this means. He does his countdown from the one, the two, the three, the music hits, and he just goes right back behind the curtain again. Nothing has to be said. Now, there's a lot of speculation here. There's a clip out there that's been circulating that I saw, and I wish I could remember who posted the clip, but of Solo Sokoa, talking to one of the Usos and telling him that this is all part of the plan, and whatever that means. I don't know if The Rock has been doing his thing behind the scenes as the final boss, and he's been calling shots and is getting ready to kind of take over the bloodline, or if he's already been in control of the bloodline, which is going to cause a feud, cause some type of animosity, guys, between the final boss and Roman Reigns, because we all know that it was kind of odd last year the way that they did it with Roman Reigns and the final boss himself, The Rock. Him having to say you are my tribal chief. It didn't feel right, because we know The Rock is a big person. He's a big name. He's a big personality. I mean, he's done it all in wrestling, and so he acknowledged Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. But before that, there was a setup before the story changed, due to the fans, that Roman Reigns and the final boss were going to go head to head at WrestleMania. And so we know that there was a story there that was kind of neatly folded and put away, and now it's back on the table because I think that we had to kind of get some type of closure on this story, specifically. Who is going who is going to really take control of the bloodline going into next year and going into WrestleMania. Will it be Roman Reigns or will it be the final boss? And that is the stuff that gets me excited, and it's the stuff that that again keeps us all coming back and watching to try to figure some of this stuff out. When they have good storylines like this, you can't help but be invested. You can't help but just be excited for all the possibilities and outcomes of what's to come. And so it's exciting to see what's going to happen with the final boss. But the fast forward, we have NXT. It's moved to CW. That's the next big thing, and that was that all is starting to go right. To be right in the CW and NXT, or on the CW. NXT makes its debut. The Triple H and my boy, the Heartbreak kid, Shawn Michaels, makes their return or debut out to show new NXT titles that are up for grabs that night. And we had two great matches for the women's championship between Roxanne and Julia, and then we had another banger between All Ego, Ethan Page, and Trick Willie. I mean, and it feels good. It feels good to see the belt back on its rightful champion. Trick Willy Wonka is now your current NXT champion, and it's everything just feels right. You know, uh, Julia and Roxanne put on a great match. They did. Unfortunately, things did not work out the way I expected because I thought Julia might be the one that kind of goes over in this match and finally beats Roxanne, kind of humbles her a little bit because, Roxanne has been on her high horse for these past few weeks. I mean, she reminds you every single time, the type of champion she's been. She hasn't lost. I thought Julia was going to be that answer, but there was some outside interference, cost her the match, and so Roxanne retains. But when it comes to Trick Willy Wonka and Ethan Page, they put on a good match. I thought the finish of the match was just a little uh, subpar, but at the end of the day, what needed to happen happened. Trick Williams is now your current NXT champion, and we're happy to have it. It's what we wanted, and so what better way to kind of start their runoff, I should say, start their runoff on the CW than to have two great main championship matches for the women and for the men. And then we move on to SmackDown. The highlight of that night, of the night for that brand, was definitely the trios tag team championship match, or the triple threat tag team match, I should say, between the Street Profits, DIY, and of course the Bloodline. They put on one hell of a match. It was a ladder match for the championships, and unfortunately, the Street Profits they just have not been able to get it together, man. They have not been able to overcome what's they've just not been able to. Anytime the championships have been on the line, they just keep coming up short. And I don't know what it's going to take for them to kind of be able to finally go over and grab that brass ring. But it's unfortunate and it's sad to see because I really want the Street Profits to have the belts, to carry the titles, because they are a phenomenal tag team. Hell, I want DIY to have the tag team belts back because I thought their run was very short. And the fact that the Bloodline has it is what it is. But again, they retain, and so we just gotta wait, guys. I don't know what's gonna come out of this. What storyline is going to come up next? Who's going to be the next challengers for the tag team titles? We had an argument and a dispute between DIY and the Street Profits backstage this past week or yesterday on SmackDown, and so it's going to be interesting to kind of see where this goes. And then we have to, guys. I cannot end the show without discussing something very important, something we've been talking about for the last few weeks, something that we thought might put us all into the Heartbreak Hotel. And it is nothing but the Don of NXT. The Don of NXT versus Oba Femi, the ruler. They had their match this past week on NXT on the CW, and the Don did it, guys. He did it. He beat Oba Femi to become the new NXT North American champion, and all is right with the world. I can't say it enough. We got Trick Willy Wonka carrying the NXT main championship because we all know nobody cares for all ego. And then you have the Don in the family in business with the match itself was not as good as their first match. I thought the first match they had a few weeks back was better. But this match was still a good match. But it showed that the Don, he had to dig deep to be able to overcome this dominant force in Oba Femi, and he did it. They put on a great show. The Don goes over, crowd's going crazy. The family is just excited. I'm here in my room just losing my mind because I mean it is the Don. We've wanted this for the longest time, and I cannot wait to see the stories that get ready to unfold with the Don. Him and having this NXT championship. Obviously, there's no way the Don is not going to have to give Obafemi a rematch. I feel like he has to do it, and he has to do it to um kind of to show like, hey, this wasn't a fluke. I was able to beat Obafemi. It's not a fluke. And then Obafemi can go on to bigger and better things. There's an NXT championship out there. I know Trick Willie just got the championship back, but Oba is deserving. I think he needs to go after that. I think that can be a huge match. Has big star potential between Obafemi and Trick Willie. But before we even like get that far, I would like to see another match between the Don, between Obafemi for the NXT North American Championship again, just so it can be shown the Don and the family can show that this was no fluke because it was kind of a roll up pin victory for the Don. And you can see Obafemi was very surprised at when the ref got counted the 1, 2, 3. You can see it on his face, like he got me by the cheapest of tricks, the old roll up. And so I would like to see another match because I do think there's more meat on that bone for sure. And I'm all for the Don and the story that the journey he's getting ready to go on with the NXT North American Championship. And so all is right with the world, and it's an exciting time. And then lastly, guys, we're going to end the show with Roman Reigns, his return here on SmackDown just last night, and just it's good to see Roman back because that this is the time. This is where they start the build for WrestleMania, and so Roman had his feud with the Bloodline, but there was a match last night with Jimmy Uso and of course Solo Sikoa, and they had their match, they had their their battle, but Roman comes out, wrecks shop, but of course, he's outnumbered because it's kind of going with the story. He gets outnumbered. He takes a couple of punishing thumbs to the throat by Solo Sikoa, but it just kind of reinforces what Jimmy was talking about at the beginning of the show of like, hey, Roman, I'm the only one left that acknowledges you as the tribal chief. We need help. And I think the way this ended last night was that proof that they do need help and that they are going to probably have to go and get their brother Jay Uso and bring him back into the fold. Now, I know Roman said no yeet. The crowd didn't like that. I don't know if I like that because I feel like you need Jimmy, you need Jay, and you definitely need the wise man back in the fold because that is what made Roman the tribal chief. Nothing against Roman and his own abilities, his performance as a wrestler and all that kind of stuff. That was definitely a huge part of it as well. But it was the group, it was the team, it was how they interacted. It was everything about the tribe of Jimmy, Jay, the wise man, and Roman that made it work. And of course, I feel like that needs to be brought back together in order for Roman to really be able to take back this new bloodline. Because again, as we talked about earlier, there's a hint of something else up to this bloodline. I really do believe it has to do with the final boss. But we have to wait and see. There's a lot that's going on, a lot of stories kind of starting to be developed and kind of told here. We got something going on with KO and him, attacking, Cody Rhodes after Bad Blood. So we got him turning heel, and so there's a lot going on It's an exciting time right now because we know that this is the build to the bigger things that are coming in right around the corner here with, like I said, Survivor Series leading into the Royal Rumble, and of course, capitalizing in WrestleMania. But with that said, guys, of course, I want to remind you before we go. I missed you guys. I'm kind of happy to be back. I'm hoping that for those that have been impacted, by again the tragic storms that has struck the southeast portion of our country. I'm hoping and praying for everybody's safety and their return. But for those of you watching and listening now, please know that you can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on the Instagrams at the Exclusive Nights Podcast, as well as on X at the XK Podcast. If you are watching currently on YouTube, please, for us, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell so that you can stay up to date with any content that we drop and post. And I hope that next Saturday, I'm thinking next Saturday, we will all be able to come together, guys, and give you guys a true exclusive nights experience. Again, we're going to have to kind of be patient and kind of see how things going, but that is our goal. That is what we're shooting for. And so hopefully we can make that work. I definitely want to thank everyone for tuning in, for sharing 25 minutes of your time with me, HBP, here in the exclusive HeartBreak Hotel. With that said, guys, the journey continues to be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, and to make sure your nights will never be the same.